would like to introduce you to our second speaker. Our second speaker is Josephine Corcoran. Josephine is a holistic career coach, a facilitator and consultant on how to tap into your innate abilities and purposeful leadership. For the last 2 decades, not 2 years, 2 decades, she has supported organizations, business owners, and individuals to ignite passion, clarity, and achieve meaningful results in the workplace. Why? Because no one should have to feel stuck, demotivated, or powerless at work. Josephine Corcoran was born in country Victoria to parents who passed on their passion for learning and love of people. She was encouraged to hitch her wagon to the star, which inspired her lifelong quest for knowledge and interest in human behaviour. With a degree in psychology, a postgraduate in business marketing, a master's in coaching, and 20 years working with corporate marketing, recruitment, learning and development, HR, and consulting roles, Josephine has crafted the art of asking great questions and creating space to allow clients to explore challenges, connect deeply with their true self, and embark on a rewarding and meaningful career. At age 35, embarking on a new hobby, Josephine soon found herself literally hitching her career to the stars. What started as a bit of fun quickly turned into an insatiable quest to weave the ancient wisdom of astrology to help her corporate clients connect more deeply with their purpose to achieve their professional goals. Josephine's executive clients are a testimony to her methodology, bringing profound depth and personal understanding that they've not before realized. She sees firsthand the results of her clients getting from delving into all aspects of themselves and then learning to lead from their heart versus their head. She believes the more people who choose to work consciously, the better the world can be. When Josephine isn't changing lives of others, she loves spending time outdoors with her 2 young boys, traveling, exploring mindful activities, and building her astrological insights. Please help me welcome to the Zoom stage, Josephine Corcoran. Woo! Josephine!
Oh, Anna, thank you so much for that beautiful, warm welcome. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you to everybody for attending. Looking forward to doing my presentation, and feeling really inspired by Sal's presentation earlier on health. And I think there are some links between what Sal said, especially with regards to where we're all at energetically at the moment, and how that's impacting us in our health, but also in our careers and how we do business. So today's presentation that I'm doing is all about sharing how you as a business owner, you as somebody who's in HR or learning and development or a general manager and has a team of leaders that works for you, I've got some information on how to retain and inspire your leaders in 2022 and beyond. As we know, the world is a very different place to what it was 2 years ago. So there's been a huge amount of media attention around this concept of the Great Resignation, especially in 2022. So did you know that did you know these statistics, that actually 38% of workers, according to a PwC research report earlier in 2022, were considering leaving their role? According to another research report by the Melbourne Institute of Applied Economics, 40% of workers want to work more from home than their employer permits. And according to another research survey that was printed in the Financial Review recently, 4 in 5 leaders are at risk of burnout. These are really significant statistics. And so what I then did as a follow-up to these statistics that I was reading about was I did my own personal research and spoke to a number of heads of businesses and organisations to understand a little bit more deeply what these figures meant. And in summary, what was really obvious to me is that there was a huge re-evaluation of individuals' professional and personal priorities. So the pandemic, which kept us all locked up and kept us limited and had us really, gave us no choice but to focus the lens inwards and to really consider what actually are the most important things to us. It created a huge period of time of reevaluating and reprioritising. And in essence, the overwhelming consensus from everybody that I spoke with was that whether they believe the Great Resignation is a thing or a media construct, there was no question that there is a great reshuffle. And the great reshuffle is happening because individuals are looking for more flexibility. They're also looking to do work that they really, really enjoy. So they want to be able to use their skills and maximize their skills and actually experience this concept of joy in their work. They don't want to be turning up to work and not having fun doing it. Life's too short, they've decided. And then going the next level down, people are certainly looking to be able to create much more impact and have a deeper experience of meaning and purpose in the work that they do. So what I'm going to be covering today is a little bit about a 200-year paradigm shift that's taken us into the new world that we're now doing business in. And I'm also going to share with you a unique program which is designed to support you to retain, inspire, and have your leaders thrive in this new world of work that we're operating in. So as Anna has alluded to, I'm really passionate about supporting people to thrive in their careers. Personally, I'm an avid learner. I love nothing more than reading about what's going on in the latest ways that we can support people and their growth and their understanding of self. And this is a list of different institutions that I've got qualifications from. I love doing it one-on-one with people, and I also facilitate workshops, and I love conversations, and I do run a podcast as well. So a little bit about my background in terms of the methodology that I use, which Anna alluded to, that I actually decided to hitch my career to the stars after deciding to embark on astrology as a hobby. And I found that at the time when I started studying astrology, it was merely something to do because I had some more time on my hands. I'd completed my master's in business, my master's in psychology, coaching. And I thought, I'm going to go and see if there's anything to this whole astrology thing. I'd been following astrology in the newspapers every weekend avidly. It was always the first thing that I read about, just to understand what was happening for the Leo sun sign, which is what I am. But at the time that I started studying astrology, I was working within an organisation that was a consulting organisation dealing with lots of senior executives, CEOs and leadership team who had been made redundant, or their role had been made redundant, and also working with executives that were looking for that next step in their career within their existing organisation. And what was really interesting to me at the time is that whenever I was working with individuals and asking them to identify what their purpose was, most people struggled to be able to tell me what was purposeful and meaningful for them, which I found quite fascinating. And then, interestingly enough, when I started studying astrology and I started looking at this map, this symbolic map, and I started to see that you could get a deeper understanding of self through the symbolism in astrology, and that this map offered information about an individual's purpose and the reason that they were here, I thought I have got to start to find a way to blend the two, to bring this in to the executive corporate world that I'm working in. And that's exactly what I did. So, I then started to use a blend of psychometric profiling tools and astrology, because we're talking about 12 years ago now that I really started to blend the two. And most people couldn't even get their head around the idea of working with astrology. But when they could see how the astrology was a direct reflection of everything that was in their psychometric profiling tool, they soon were open to listening. And on a personal level, when I realised that Carl Jung, who's actually the founding day father of modern day astrology, of modern day psychology, when I discovered that he borrowed the archetypes from the elements in astrology, I was absolutely, I thought, here is my hook. And Liz Green, who's a leading global astrologer, she's based in the UK. She's got a great relationship with Carl Jung's descendants, and they let her into his all of his archives, and she did a lot of research, and she went through his papers, and she's written a book about how Carl Jung borrowed directly from astrology to create his personality type theory. So that was it for me. So in essence, what I excel at and what I'm deeply passionate about is really supporting people who are at a questioning point, where they're at a crossroads, they're ready to move on to the next thing, and they're ready to find a way in which they can thrive as an individual leader that in turn inspires others around them. And here are a list of a range of different companies that I've done work with individuals and also workshops. Just to give you a bit of a quick perspective, I've got a few people that I've done some work with. I've got a great podcast episode with Donna Worthington, who I did a program of work with. She's now a partner at Minters. And she came to me at a point where she was at a crossroads. She was a senior director in risk over at CBA. And she'd done every single leadership program that had ever been offered through CBA. And at the end of the work that she did with me, she said, Josephine, I have done so many programs, but nothing has given me as much insight into who I am and given me such clarity about what it is that's possible for me to create than using this combination of astrology and positive psychology. So that's a really great episode to listen to. She still to this day references her blueprint that she uses with her team to inspire them and to share with them what it is her vision is and what she needs around her. Patrick Med's another senior executive that I've done work with. He was at a point where he was making a career decision within Ernst & Young, and they were desperate not to lose him. So they engaged me to work with him to give him a fresh perspective on what was possible for him. And he's now in a leading global advisory role there and thriving and loving it. And then finally, Hiem Sakakini, who runs the Culture Equation. She's the CEO and founder of this organisation that's a learning and development organisation. She's an ex-senior Google executive, and she engaged me because she wanted to embrace the energetic forces at play astrologically and use that to identify how she could work with that to grow her business and for her to fully step into her role as the leader of the business and to make sure her brand was completely unique and could stand out in the marketplace. So what is astrology? So just to give you a very quick astrological lesson, as astrologers, what we do is we look at the planets up in the sky, and the planets are constantly moving through the 12 different zodiac signs. And as an astrologer, what we do is we look at over here, we've got Brene Brown's birth chart. And from that, as an astrologer, I can map out her professional blueprint, and I can look at all of her different leadership archetypes based on where the planets are, what zodiac sign they are located in, and what part of the chart they are in. Now, astrology is a science and I call it a science because it goes back as far as Babylonian times, and it's been used by civilizations since then, and it comes up in different ways and forms from the Egyptians to the Incas, the Chinese, the Greeks, and the Romans. And if we think about a really great way of thinking about astrology is that the planets are almost like a role in a movie. So, sorry, the planets we can think of as an actor. They have a constant kind of set of character traits. And then depending on whereabouts that planet is in the sky, if we think about the zodiac sign that they're in, then that's a little bit like the character the actor is playing. So Johnny Depp, for example, he's got his own unique personality, but he's then played various different roles and takes on a different persona depending on the character that he's playing. So whether he's playing a pirate or whether he's playing Edward Scissorhands, he's slightly different in the way that he behaves. Now, for you as an individual, what I can help you understand is your ability to be able to lead. So I do that by exploring in your birth chart and whereabouts the sun is and how it relates to other parts. So I can give you a really good understanding of your inner sovereign and how to make the most of that. I can also give you a good understanding of your ability as a nurturer and as a leader in an organization, how you take care of others by looking at the moon. By looking at where Mercury is in your chart, I can give you an understanding of how you tell stories best. What's your unique storytelling style? How can you fully engage others to the best of your ability? By looking at where Venus is in your chart, I can understand and help you deeply connect with the way in which you relate to others and how others experience the way that you relate to them. By exploring where Mars is in your chart, I can help you understand where you're willing to stand up and fight for something and really initiate and go for something. By understanding where Saturn is in your birth chart, I can help you understand where you're a strategy, where you're committed to things, where you're responsible. Where Jupiter is in your chart, I can help you understand your ability to be expansive and adventurous and to see beyond the here and the now. Whereabouts Uranus is in your chart, I can help you understand and help you access your ability to innovate and to be a revolutionary. When Neptune is in your chart, I can help you understand your ability to dream, to imagine, and to be really creative. And then finally, by looking at where the planet Pluto is in your birth chart, I can help you understand what your capability is as somebody who's a powerful transformer. So each of the planets in your birth chart gives me an understanding of what your unique set of archetypal patterns are that you can use as a leader and to help you understand how to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. Now, something that I wanted to talk about to give you a bit of an understanding as to what's been happening energetically is I wanted to talk about these planets, Saturn and Jupiter, just for a moment. So this is not focusing on you as an individual, but this is looking at the big picture and what's been happening in the world. So just as a reminder, Saturn's got the archetypal pattern of it's a cold and dry planet, and Saturn is a planet that represents structure and mastery and tradition and discipline, and it's also about wisdom and self-reliance, as well as hierarchy and top-down discipline and control. Very much it's the strategist and it's the risk mitigator. Now, Saturn's known as a social planet because when the Greeks were looking at the sky without any telescopes, Saturn was the furthest planet out in the solar system. And Saturn, as well as Jupiter, were both considered social planets because they noticed that where these two planets were placed in the sky, that when they connected in particular ways, it impacted societal values and norms. So before I jump any further, just to help you, just to clarify, Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system. It represents growth and abundance and good fortune and confidence. It's also very much a truth seeker and it's about ethics. So Jupiter and Saturn are very much, they are almost a yin and a yang of each other. So when they meet up in the sky, it sort of informs social constructs. societal values and norms. Now, just very quickly, in astrology, there are 4 elements, and the elements of fire are represented by the zodiac signs of Aries and Leo and Sagittarius. You'll know anybody with a fire sign is very enthusiastic and inspired and loves to express themselves, and they've got lots and lots of energy. We've got the air signs, which are Gemini and Libra and Aquarius. And if you know any people with these sun signs, they tend to be quite intellectual, and they love communicating, they love socializing and conceptualizing ideas. The earth signs are represented by Taurus, Capricorn and Virgo, and these are the practical signs, practical zodiac signs. They like to really focus on doing things logically in a linear fashion, being cautious and building things slowly over time. And then finally, we've got the water energy, which is about the emotional, empathetic and sensitive energy, which is Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces. Now, in terms of both Saturn and Jupiter, these 2 planets have a cycle of meeting up every single 20 years. They'll meet up. And they do this, they have a cycle where for a 200-year period, they meet up in zodiac signs of the same element. So for the up until 2020, for the prior 200 so years before that, these 2 planets met up in earth signs. Now, what this essentially meant was that if we think about them informing societal values, the energy of earth was paramount over the last 200 years. It was very much about the Industrial Revolution started or really took off with a vengeance around 200 years ago. There was a focus on the material to make life easier, to really, we started to really value having things around us. We really valued the infrastructure that we put in place. But if we think fast forward at the end of that 200-year cycle, materialism was almost at an all-time high, to the point where people were almost equating their own worth based on what it is that they owned. And so the Earth era was also very much about evidence-based, top-down control, slow and steady wins the race. But then enter a new paradigm. So in 2020, Jupiter and Saturn met up for the first time in an air sign, which begins a new 200-year era. And the energy of air is very different to the energy of earth. Air is changeable. It's fast moving. It represents the mind and the intellect. It represents technology. It represents communication that we use to talk to one another. And so we are now living in a period where things are not happening slowly anymore. They are happening at the speed of light. And the foundations that we are living, the life that we're living is no longer as predictable as what it was, because Earth's about predictability and stability. Air is much more changeable, about ideas, innovation and collaboration. And so energy is huge. This is also really connecting into the rise of consciousness. Now, 2021 was really the tipping point. It was the rolling into this new 200-year cycle that we're operating in, and that's when the pandemic really fully hit. That's when we all found ourselves at home using technology to communicate with one another, and it caused a huge energetic reset. And so that reset is something we are now still all adapting to. The world of work has changed forever. People now more than ever need to be really clear on what it is they want to create, because energy is all about where you put your mind's attention. What you put your mind's attention to is what ends up manifesting for you, especially now. People are looking for that essence of freedom. They don't want to be hemmed in anymore, and they want to be able to be authentically themselves, and being able to be authentically themselves and to collaborate with others of like mind that have got a similar belief and a similar purpose. So in terms of what this means for our future leaders and us as leaders of our own businesses, we really require an intimate connection within ourselves and knowing what's unique. We need to really understand what our purpose is and have a heartfelt connection to our goals. Our mindset needs to be much more innovative and adaptable than it's ever been, and we need to be working with creative thinking versus staying safe. We need to do this. We need to be able to be flexible with how we work, and we certainly need an opportunity to collaborate. So there's essentially a rewiring that's going on in our senior leaders' mindset and in our own mindset, because you've probably noticed the more you worry about things, the more you get fixated on things not going right, the more things don't seem to go right in your world. But when we stay present, which is the right-hand side of the brain, is all about the present moment, the here and the now, really engaging with all 5 of your senses and just experiencing the emotions connected with that. When you stay present, you stay connected to that essence of joy, of love, of peace. That's when things really start to move forward in a very, very powerful way. So more than ever, it's important you know what's unique about you. You're clear on who you are. And so this program that I have developed really blends the positive psychology and the astrology together to help you unpack who you are as a stellar leader. It's a 7-step process. And at the first stage, what we do is, of course, set the foundations to help you understand what your current mindset is. Then we're moving into helping you build your intuition. Then I'm going to support you to really identify your professional blueprint. We're using astrology and psychology. Of course, we're using intuitive process to do some laser focused goal setting. And it's going to be all about getting you to focus on the what, not the how. Of course, mindset is key to be able to stay on track to get the results. And then finally, we move into the purpose, the point of purposeful results. So to thrive in 2022 and beyond, it requires to retain and to inspire and to achieve results in your organisation, really requires a good understanding of self and what's unique about you, and being able to be creative to bring the results in. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. So if you'd like to talk some more and understand how you can, how we could work together to help you understand your professional blueprint, your leader's professional blueprint, and how you can stand out from this very noisy, competitive market we're now operating in, then I'd love to have a conversation with you, and you can set up an inquiry chat over in the notes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Josephine. Let's give her a big hand. Woo! And thank you so much to everybody who is both here, and we do have a good audience watching from other channels. So if you are on other channels, do jump on to the Zoom so we can keep engaged and more connected.